appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That is all I wanna say.
Today I'm reacting to this video by FBE Capital. This one was recommended to me by a good friend of mine. Shout out to you. It seems like it's going to be a crazy one. Let's dive into it, man.
Now, whether you agree with them or not, at least in the olden days, feminism was clear on where it stood, which was pro-women and against everything else. But today, the feminists are fighting each other, and they are more divided than ever.
What I'm birthing people, really? Come on.
For a very long time now, people seem to have lost their minds.
I don't give a shit about the scientific explanations. If they identify as a woman, get to compete in sports.
It's very easy to fight back on trans issues. The science is on our side. Trans women should be housed in women's prisons.
It doesn't make any sense, but nothing with gender ideology makes any sense.
There isn't one person alive that believes that trans women are women.
That's repulsive to me. You are repulsive to me.
Today, the judges have said what we always believed to be the case, that women are protected.
And I'm so sickened by this court ruling, because it's women who voted for it.
Jubilant. We are so relieved.
Yeah, it's such a relief, and it's just so nice.
Absolutely a victory for common sense. Feels like sanity is restored.
And the fact that so many people seem to be celebrating. Disgusting and sickening.
That you can't even see what you've done.
Well, you can't be born in the wrong body. That's such a regressive idea.
So I'm right about this, you're wrong about this.
Deranged people who are very angry that we are basically interrupting their delusion.
Yes, boys.
Wow, now that's what you call an intro, man. There's a lot of things packed in there. This should be a wild, crazy video. Women versus women. Usually it's men versus women. Good change for once, you know. Let's see the cat fight, go at it. Let's dive into it, man.
True civil war amongst the crazies, which was made 10 times worse by the recent UK Supreme Court ruling, which defined a woman as a biological female.
The unanimous decision of this court is that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex.
Wow, such a radical decision, right? It is absolutely absurd that this was even necessary, but hey, this is what you get when you chase feelings rather than facts.
Frankly, I would rather share a bathroom with 100 trans women than one legal biological woman who wants to know what's inside my pants. And I actually think I'm about to have a panic.
Did he just say that biological women are the ones that are gonna want to see inside her pants? Wouldn't it make more sense that it will be the transgendered person who's still a man biologically, scientifically, to want to see inside her pants? Backwards logic, man. Every single time with these people.
Panic attack from sitting in a room with you, so I'd like to leave now. Yeah, I'd really like to go.
I thought we were you actually plugged into a mic there.
Yep, 100% grade A. Anyways, what's truly funny about all of this madness is that I've never been in the camp that says remove women's right to vote, since I think that's perhaps going a bit too psycho. But I will say that by allowing
just pearly things. Her takes are a bit on the extreme side when it comes to the vote. Women shouldn't vote. I don't agree with that, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. That's taken a bit far, but for the most part, she speaks the
women
truth.
To vote and do whatever they want, they eventually chose to eliminate women altogether, which is just absolutely insane and funny as hell at the same time.
Drew Barrymore got down on her knees.
Do you want to know, ironically?
And seemed to be praying at the transgender altar.
It's just infuriating. Real feminism would not be kneeling before a male in a Barbie costume. It's ridiculous.
I couldn't agree more, because another thing that you're making me realize.
So yeah, maybe women should have watched a bit more Spider-Man.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
And a bit less Sex in the City.
I'm loving it up to the point where the guy wants me to swallow.
Well, that's really a judgment call.
Some men just take it so personally if you don't.
So that they would not have created.
I remember back in the day how big that show was, man. When the movies used to come out, because I used to work in the cinema. That was a nightmare. All these feminists coming to the cinema, watching this film, going crazy about it. I've never even watched it myself, not even like one episode, but I just heard about the hype.
This giant mess. Because let's not forget, the only reason why this is happening is because of women and not men.
Like, as a cis woman myself,
I've never felt unsafe around a trans woman.
ever. My womanhood has never felt threatened by a trans woman.
But I pride myself on incorporating what I hear.
So usually, yeah, they're scared of men, right? To the point that they say they'll pick a bear over a man if they had to. Which one would a woman prefer to meet in the woods? Most of them always pick the bear. It's funny, when a man pretends to be a woman, all of a sudden, all those threats that they had suddenly goes out the window. Just because the man claims to be a woman, they're suddenly not scared anymore.
From trans people.
Straight guys never supported this trans nonsense, and the only reason why weak, pathetic male feminists are supporting this is because they think this is what women want. So this whole freak show,
I use she, her pronouns, I'm not sir.
Hey y'all, this is a tough one.
Is 1000% of women's own making, and purely the result of women wanting to be so against common sense simply to piss off men.
This is why it's so important for cisgender women to be trans allies and support trans women. What trans women represent is the possibility for womanhood to be as big and broad and free as we want it to be, which is exactly what Republicans hate.
What the hell are you talking about? That makes absolutely zero sense. Please drop a like if you think that modern women are so brainwashed they will happily advocate for their own destruction, and comment down below what you think. Now, all of this madness reminds me of the beautiful phrase, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. And yes, before you history nerds come at me, I know this is a bastardization of Napoleon's original quote, translated into English as, when the enemy is making a false move, we must take good care not to interrupt him. But it just sounds a lot less catchy, even though it's still equally true, since feminists are truly making a lot of mistakes lately. For starters, they are advocating for men in women's sports.
If they identify as a woman, get to compete in sports. If that's not fair in the short term for a variety of little competitions, I don't give a shit.
They are advocating for calling.
They love to just shoot themselves in the foot purely because of this agenda or hatred for men or dislike for men. They're willing to do anything it takes here to just make sure that men are somehow beneath them or disadvantaged in some way. This is what happens when you go against the natural order of things. When you try to go up against God or the creator, it doesn't work, man. It just doesn't work. You can't fight nature and how things are designed to be. It's ridiculous. And they want to allow biological men into women's sports. The women will fight for that. But then when they lose to those men, then all of a sudden they're complaining and they're crying. It doesn't make any sense. Use some logic. None of this will be happening.
Women birthing people and cervix havers.
They start referring to women as birthing people, menstruators, uterus havers.
They are advocating for men in women's prisons.
These men that transferred in are predators. Several of them are offenders, and their motives are not to come live a harmonious life.
And as a cherry on top, they do.
All these men just pretending that they're transgender or whatever. I'm not saying majority of them are, but I'm just saying it could be people just pretending to be transgender just to be able to get closer to women and then do some crazy things. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of so-called transgendered people that have that kind of mentality or that goal or that aim.
I do not believe that women should be free to choose whatever they want.
But it reminds me a lot of choice feminism.
This is why choice feminism is inherently flawed.
Not at all an effective solution. And saying, well, if you just let each individual person do what they want, we're all going to be fine, which is nonsense.
Just think about it. We've come full circle with feminism, haven't we? Because we started with let women be free to make their own choices and have their own money, to now stop these crazy bitches from doing what they want. Because while modern women were busy with being anti-man, anti-family, and fighting this imaginary patriarchy, they were actually facing real-world threats that they never even saw coming.
I was very much in like an I hate Trump Twitter bubble. I didn't tweet, but I would read everything. So I completely missed that this was going on.
Yeah, no sh**. This was very clearly going on, but all they could hear was men are bad, girl power good, and before you know it, the girl power is now 100% pure testosterone, taking every single category that was specified for women. I mean, you couldn't write a sketch this ridiculous. But hey, it's hilarious that this.
So male cyclists take all the medals basically. Women who support this, what do you think is going to happen when you're letting men compete in your sports? There's only one result, you get destroyed and then you cry about it.
This is what feminism has come to, and it's the reason why my original video, The Death of Feminism, linked up here, was so spot on, since everything has only gotten so much worse since then. Because even though a lot of women are celebrating this recent UK Supreme Court ruling, of defining what a woman is, this actually does not solve the real problem, and their fight is far from over.
A trans woman is a woman, so this does not give people the automatic right to start banning trans women from female spaces.
I personally have never seen trans women invalidating the womanhood of cis women.
You see, the problem was never the law, since the law was always quite clear, and you would have to be an idiot not to understand what the law was saying. What was the problem is this massive group of deranged women and male feminists
standing up for trans people and inclusive language.
It doesn't include people, it excludes women.
Who actively choose to believe that men and women are basically identical, and that if you simply say you are a woman, then boom, you are one.
They say that a man's desire to be pregnant is sufficient for him to be considered a woman in law.
Now, the biggest problem that feminism is facing and why it's inevitable that it will die a slow and gruesome death is because they are constantly adding new BS causes that have nothing to do with protecting or defending women and will just piss off more women.
At first glance, this seems feminist as but when you peel back the layers.
What's this thing with feminists shaving their heads and stuff? What's the goal of it? What does it mean? What does it represent? What does it do? Every time these people go to protest and try to, change the law or the government or have people sway towards what they believe, they always do it in the most pointless, ridiculous ways. What the hell is this? What's up with it? I'm shaving my head, so what? Who cares? I'm growing my armpit. So you want to shave the hair on your head, but you want to let the hair in your armpit grow. Priorities, all backwards, all wrong.
Intersectionality and history and racism.
So how do we achieve intersectionality and feminism and combat white feminism?
Feminism isn't just about gender. It's about how gender intersects with race, class, sexuality, disability, and much more.
If you're posting about International Women's Day and female empowerment and girl bosses, but you haven't posted about Palestine or Palestinian women, then we don't want your International Women's Day.
Feminism has somehow weaved in so much nonsense that you could never unite the majority of women behind it. Not to mention that this whole anti-capitalism and anti-white angle that has now been added to feminism, where left-wing white women cannot stop debasing themselves and constantly want to apologize for being white or having some type of privilege.
Those Hebrew Israelites, they give the real Hebrew Israelites, and I'm not talking about the people you think I'm talking about. These ones give a bad name, telling white people that they need to kiss their boots and stuff like that, which I don't agree with. That's taking it far. It's very frustrating.
I grew up privileged. I'm a white woman. It's really my responsibility to carry water for that.
My name's Kylie, and I'm obviously white. I grew up in a conservative white family.
I have white privilege because when people look at me, they see white skin.
Okay, when I was 17 years old.
Newsflash, a lot of rich white girls do not give a single that they are white or rich. They absolutely love it. And the only thing they are worried about is what to wear to Coachella or any other festival they pretend to love.
Guess where we are, you guys? Coachella! And they brought us to this house, so we're gonna show you guys our crib. Let's go. Let's go. This is the front door. I don't have lip glosses anymore.
Anyways, by grouping all of these nonsense viewpoints into feminism, you basically create a monstrosity that every single woman will hate, and not only that, but these women will never be able to get along, and they will simply hate each other.
All the left-wing media folks who directed their ire toward me.
Let's talk about Anna. She's been making the rounds on right-wing news. This is not the first time that Anna spiraled out attacking Emma.
Strong, big, bad Anna. With all of her power, she's the one who swung the election, right?
Yeah, not even period syncing is going to solve this mess. Anyways, women wanting female-only spaces is something even a toxic masculinity male like myself can understand. It is really not that hard, and in fact, if I ever were to have daughters, I would totally want them to have a women's-only space. No normal guy would ever be against that. But the irony is that every time
if you want women's only spaces, go ahead and do it. Men don't care. Seriously, we don't care. I don't care anyway. Obviously, I can't speak for every man, but I'm pretty sure most men agree with me. We don't give an F. Go do what you want. But the thing is, a lot of women want their male attention, the male gaze or whatever they call it. They claim they don't, but they do. When you leave them to actually do it, they don't actually do it.
Opens up a female gym or a lesbian bar or a women's only dating app or networking app, they all get attacked by women and the trans propaganda.
But the Girls Spot Gym as a standalone is a female-only gym.
Couch their transphobia in sophisticated language is a particular type of violence that makes me enraged. So let's get this straight. You have women saying, please, please,
please, I've been victimized. Let me have my own space.
And then a group of men on the other end saying,
no, we need to be in your space.
It is just a complete clown show, man.
Amala speaks truth about feminism and all that stuff, but I personally don't like her because she's a black woman, clearly. I think she claims to be mixed or whatever, but just like how the Calagura sisters, their DNA makeup, the white side is more dominant. With Amala, her black side is more dominant. All of her videos, when talking about race, she's always talking negative about the black community. Go to her channel and see if you can find one video where she's talking positively about the black community, or one video where she's talking bad about white people, or pointing out the bad things that white people do in society, because they do exist. But these type of people, they pretend that white people are all angels and stuff like that, and black people are just pure devils. It's a bit off topic, but yeah.
And the perfect example of how women are the ones who are constantly creating their own problems, because remember the woman who was being sued over her women's only app named Giggle?
What this case involves and how did it start?
Okay, so basically I created an app exclusively for women, a social networking app where women could connect to find like roommates and chat about pregnancy, anything. And then 3 months later, I got an Australian Human Rights Commission complaint for gender identity discrimination from one Roxy Tickle.
Yeah, so that's Sal Grover, and she went from being a young, naive, carefree Aussie philosophy major to a battle-hardened anti-trans campaigner who's now spending hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to fight for the rights of biological women in Australia.
There's like $400,000 from round one. Basically, bankrupt me because I know that a man isn't a woman.
How does that work? Because if you don't have $1 million or whatever,
Yeah,
how does it work if you're sued for £1 million or dollars or whatever?
You go bankrupt.
And she started doing this when she found out that she was basically effed over by the first female Prime Minister of Australia, who was supposed to be a feminist icon.
And in so doing, I say to the Leader of the Opposition, I will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. I will not.
Yeah, wonderful. That would have totally gotten my labia all riled up if I had any. But the problem with giving a speech like this is that it sounds great, but it means absolutely nothing if just a few years later you can't even answer a basic question.
What is a woman? And do you agree with Queensland's Attorney General Minister for Women, Sharon Fentiman, that trans women are women, and with the UK's leader of the Labor Party, Sir Keir Starmer, that some women have a penis?
Look, I'm very happy to answer your question, but
Now this bumbling idiot right here is Julia Gillard, and when she gave her anti-misogyny speech in Parliament, she was celebrated as the new leader of feminism.
Misogyny just means telling the truth, basically. That's the way I see it. If you tell a woman the truth, you're a misogynist. Because they don't really use the real definition. I mention this in every video I've done so far because it comes up every single time when feminists are complaining about
feminism worldwide. But the irony is that she actually allowed Australia to massively weaken the protections for women inscribed in law.
The law was changed. So in 2013, what happened? We had our first female prime minister, and it's her government that did this, which just adds so much insult to injury.
That's who we have to blame. You know, Julia Gillard, who everyone holds up as the feminist icon.
Julia Gillard, the former Prime Minister of
For some weird reason, I thought Australia was like way more based than this. I didn't know they were so to the left-leaning side, but apparently that's the case. Apparently there's like a lot of feminism in Australia.
And we were all clapping her on, and there's a feminist. And what did she then do in 2013?
The government took out the definition of woman from the Sex Discrimination Act and put in gender identity into it, which made the act completely muddled.
Leaving women in the situation that we currently are.
Just classic feminism, right? Say a bunch of feel-good nonsense, yell about how men are bad, and then turn around and f women over raw. It is absolute perfection.
One of the women in Lesbian Action Group, she phrased it so well. She said that, you know, she can get married now, but she can't go to a lesbian event to meet a spouse.
It's fucking insanity here, right? Now, ironically, this all started when women started complaining about the traditional gentlemen's clubs in England and started demanding that they get with the times and allow women entry.
We have to ask ourselves, what is the reason for the Garrick Club excluding women?
I'm actually not opposed to male-only spaces for recreation at all. I think there has been a little bit of overreach there, and I think that men should be able to have
I've changed my view on that
men-only spaces.
And if you force yourself in there, they're not necessarily going to include you
in those discussions.
Why do women want to get into male space?
I've been thinking that reading this, I thought, who are these women and why do they want to be in there?
To try and readdress a balance, because women are underrepresented in so many areas.
See, once again, women are the ones who are initiating the dismantlement of sex-based spaces, claiming that men and women should not be separated, but now those same women are crying so hard about the very problem they created. Which just shows you how insanely short-sighted and childish their argument was to begin with. It's like dealing with children that just want.
Like I always say, they don't base things on truth and logic, so it's not consistent. It's gonna implode on itself. It's just backwards. Simple, straightforward logic. I don't know why they find it so hard to just stick to the truth. There's a TV show called Why the Last Man. Everyone should watch it, man. It's really good, and they cancelled it after one season. I think it's really good anyway. But basically, you can maybe tell by the name, all the men in the world died apart from one. There's women panicking to sort out society. Go watch it and then you'll see how things go. Obviously it's a TV show, but in reality, it will be very similar, if not worse. I say worse.
Something because they were told no, not because they actually wanted.
This is not about my personal, desire to sit on those fluffy velvet red seats at the Garrett Club.
Since these problems only occur when you let go of any sense of logic and common sense and just start spouting off virtue signaling nonsense, and the moment any woman wakes up and realizes just how insane the world has gotten, she gets excommunicated for daring to speak up.
I mean, I was sexually assaulted by a homeless guy. It wasn't just that had happened to me, it was the reaction I received from a faction of the left because they felt that was stigmatizing the homeless community.
I mean, just imagine, you tell your left-wing feminist buddies that you were just assaulted by two homeless dudes, and their first priority is to not stigmatize the homeless.
In some cases, the criminals are actually the victims, and the victims.
Priorities all wrong. Focusing on the wrong things, man. Like that Kanye West song. You worry about the wrong things. The wrong things. Such a classic tune, man. Hits the nail on the head, whatever they're saying.
The criminals, it's insane. And I don't know how big this faction is, but they're loud enough to push me away completely.
That is absolutely insane. And it shows you that these people were never actually about empathy or protecting women. They just used that to further their own twisted agenda. Now, we warned these feminists for years that it is a bad idea to let men in women's sports and to erase the meaning and importance of motherhood. But they were so obsessed with fighting against the big evil straight white guy that they ended up on the side that wants to reduce them to cervix havers and birthing people.
It's the phrasing, it just makes you sound like a weird object that you're a vessel and nothing more, birth.
When they mentioned it early on, I was thinking, I forgot to say, don't make us as women be just objects. Don't sexualize women. We're not just sexual objects or whatever. If you call a woman a female, some of them will get angry. They'll be like, what, a female dog? They get offended by just calling them a female. But then they'll call themselves birthing or however they say women. That means you're putting yourself in a box, making yourself out to be some kind of machine or something that just gives birth. Again, shooting themselves in the foot. Self-destruction.
People.
Yeah, sorry birthing person. It is too late now. This was Feminism Civil War. Please drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos.
Interesting video. Go like and subscribe to the channel because I'm a religious person. I think this is like spiritual things because the Bible says we don't battle against flesh and blood but against things in higher places, spirits or demons or whatever you want to call it. I truly believe that. These people are possessed, man. This is why they act so crazy. This is why their logic is all backwards and why they do all this crazy things because they're being influenced by something that's not logical, that's chaotic and has intentions of just destroying the natural way of life. That's why a lot of them are so angry. They get triggered so easily as well. Their temperament is very hostile and aggressive. Anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share the video, comment down below. Let's have a discussion and yeah, see you in the next one.